Before I start, I have a confession. I am an unabashed lover of Maundy Thursday. I love it all. The solemnity, the stripping of the altar, and most of all, the foot washing. I see that you're kind of squirming, some of you, and I get it. I really do. It's uncomfortable to have, for some people, to have people touch their feet. The first time I remember hearing about the Maundy Thursday service, I worked here at the cathedral in the late 90s. My first reaction when it was explained to me was, no way. No one is washing my feet. I'll be up in the office prepping for the Good Friday services. I eventually gave in and agreed to watch the service from the back, but made no promises I would move up towards the front or that my feet would make an appearance. I don't remember if my feet were washed that year or if I waited for the next service, the next year. What I do remember is the care people took when washing each other's feet and how connected they were for that short period of time. Over the years, I have learned that the opportunity to wash someone else's feet is both humbling and life-giving. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's simple. The person is trusting you in a situation where they aren't 100% comfortable. Or maybe something profound. The realization that this is one of the last things that Jesus did for and with his apostles. Before he died on the cross, sorry. It's this latter thought that I would like to explore tonight. In Jesus' time, it was customary for a low-positioned servant to wash guests' feet upon entry. And that made a lot of sense back then. People wore sandals, and they walked through dusty streets. A wash and maybe some soothing oil not only kept people from dragging whatever was on their feet through your home, but it was probably relaxing after a long day of walking. So besides its functional value, it was the hospitable thing to do. In the gospel tonight, Jesus knows that his earthly ministry is ending and that he has a very short time left with his disciples. He had to be sad and probably scared or worried. Later in this chapter, John describes Jesus as troubled in spirit. John also makes it very clear that Jesus loved his disciples even to the end. He could have used this short amount of time that he had left in a lot of different ways. But he chose to use it to express his love and to teach his disciples one last thing. This time, instead of telling a parable or performing a miracle, Jesus did something completely outside of societal norms. He took off his outer robe and put on the role of a servant. Jesus demonstrated his love for his disciples through servanthood and showed them one last time how to have a share with me. He then instructed them to do this for each other. I think we can all agree that these have not been the easiest last 2 years. We haven't been able to show our love for one another in traditional ways. In fact, quite the opposite. Our care was shown by distancing and not being together in enclosed spaces. We separated in the hopes of reuniting in safety. It struck me this week that we haven't been able to be together in the nave for Holy Week since 2019. Palm Sunday was our first mask-optional indoor service in over 2 years. We are learning to navigate what we used to take for granted. Last Sunday, I noticed people seemed to be staying longer at coffee hour and really talking. catching up with longtime friends and making new ones, reforming our community. Without even realizing it, we have taken the first step in following Jesus' actions at the Last Supper. We are once again sharing food and drink. As we walk these final days with Jesus, let's ask ourselves, what basic acts of hospitality can we do to serve one another and to show our love for each other? How do we serve each person we encounter so that they can experience God's love? What does that mean for traditions like coffee hour? And what could it look like as we reach out to our community to be greater examples of God's love? Those are big questions and ones we can figure out over time together. For tonight, let's remember Jesus' last lesson, that to follow him means to humble oneself, to serve, and to be served. Amen.